Hi there. So today we're going to be talking about something controversial of nature. No, I didn't stop making controversial videos. It's just, if I talk about something, I want to make sure that it's something that I really haven't touched before. I don't want to regurgitate the same arguments, the same rebuttals, the same responses about racism that I've already done. So, with that said, I want to talk about your family. Yes, your family. I don't know your family. But I'm sure there are some of you out there who have family members who are homophobic. Family members who are sexist, family members who genuinely are misogynistic and hate women for some crazy reason or treat women like shit. Maybe you have a family member who, what we're talking about today, is racist. You just can't understand why your extended family member hates people with different skin color. This is an issue for your family, assuming that you have one of these family members who thinks this way, is because it's an issue with my family. And that's what I want to talk about today is racism. And this can be applied to a lot of different other types of isms, but ideally racism in the family. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with having an extended family member who is racist? Well, for one, I'm going to tell you how I deal with it. I don't cut contact with them, by the way. That's something that I don't think people should do. It really depends on the situation, and it depends if the family member is toxic or not. But for the most part, going back to my childhood, I will always remember being in a restaurant, and we were with my extended family member, and the words, "shut that B up," were yelled at in the restaurant. I was very embarrassed. Even at age 10, I knew that that type of language, that type of slur, using it towards someone, specifically a child, is horrible. My parents were embarrassed. Everybody around us was embarrassed because what the person said they yelled it out because the kid was crying. Like it's a fucking baby, for God's sake, okay? Like you just don't say that. Anyways, I always remember that, and that was the sign, and my remembrance of that particular situation and how it set a perspective on how I viewed that family member. Ever since then, I've always viewed them as racist. And they are racist. They've actually come out and said specifically that they are racist, that they do view people of a different skin color as less superior, that they do treat them like absolute fucking shit because of their skin color. So yes, I have a racist extended family member. Now, how do I deal with it? Well, for starters, I don't block them on Facebook, even though they don't have a Facebook. If they contact me, which they have before, I talk to them. Why do I talk to them? Because you can learn. And that's a huge thing I want people to understand. This is what I want people to take away with this. You may have a racist family member, but what you should do, despite your disdain towards that family member, is you should try to talk with this person and not convince them that racism is bad, but try to understand why they think the way they do. See, all too often, we are emotional, we're passionate, and we see a family member support Trump. We see a family member speak out against gay marriage. We see a family member come out against people who are black or different skin color. Obviously, these are all very different things, but they can kind of be responded to in the same way. I feel as if you can learn a lot by talking to the person and trying to understand why they think the way they do and learn from their perspective. And, their perspective is wrong. The way they treat people is wrong. Looking at someone as inferior because of their skin color, that is wrong. That is horrible. But you can learn and can understand more about real-life racism if you try to have a conversation with these people. That's not to say that this conversation is always going to be a positive one, because it probably won't. But I encourage you to ask a family member, why do you treat women like shit? Or why do you think gay people shouldn't be allowed to get married? And, there's going to be a lot of very similar responses. But in regards to racism, there is a plethora of different reasons why someone may be racist. In terms of homosexuality, it's usually because the Bible says so. But what makes someone actually treat someone differently based upon their skin color? Well, it's in large part their environment and how they grow up. And by talking to a family member who's racist, you can start to understand why they think the way they do, and you can start to have a better understanding for why racism does exist, but also how to see it when it occurs right in front of you. I think you and I have this gut reaction to where if we have a family member who says something that's really fucked up, to just outcast them. And you know, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, that's okay. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm simply trying to express that I think it's important that you try to understand the root of why people think the way that they do. And I've done this with my family, specifically my mom and my dad. I've talked to them about religion and things like that, wanting to understand more in depth why they're so passionate, why they believe the things that they do, to get a better understanding for why they choose to hold on to religious ideologies. And I think that this should be a universal thing for most people, is despite differences, despite you may not be racist, your family member may be racist, is not to officially outcast them, but to talk to them. But saying that it's not okay really doesn't change the fact that there are still people who think that it is okay to hate on gays. It is okay to be racist. It is okay to discriminate. It is okay to treat a woman or a man like utter shit because you're a misandrist or a misogynist. And as you well know, we live in a society where these words are constantly being thrown where they don't apply. But if you have a family member who does believe any of those things passionately, I encourage you to talk with them. Don't try to convince them that they're wrong. Ask them why they think and act and respond and behave the way that they do. You may be very surprised by their answer.